Here's the Light 4 in its case. This unit weighs approximately 70 pounds. Let's take a look at it in a little greater detail. As you can see, the saw is packed in a nice sturdy case. It's got a single handle on the top, and then it also has hand grips on each side. The saw in this case weighs approximately 70 pounds. The first thing we want to do with our Lafon light saw is we want to mount the attaching legs for the workbench. I'm going to take the head and rotate it out of position, and you'll see why in just a minute. I'm going to remove our number 6 screws here. I'll take our bracket. You can see how it's machined. It only really fits in one way, engages. Go ahead and snug these up. We'll move over to this side. Excuse my reach. And again, we'll just snug this up just a little bit. Okay, I assume I haven't lost you so far, because this is pretty simple. If we look in the end of the saw, the gearbox itself, you'll see a mating female actually. It's a slotted drive collar inside there. And that drive collar is going to mate up with, let me move this back out of the way. On the end of our Metabo drill, we have also kind of a block. And that block, in just a minute here, will mate internally and to the gearbox in there, and I'll show you how this installs. Okay, I'm going to break this up into a couple different clips. Sometimes the instructions that we give to customers aren't real thorough. When we insert this in, notice we've got our square and I'm lined up. How far do you insert it? All the way up to this end here. You jiggle it just a little bit. Now you see we've driven it all the way home and we're up flush. In this clip, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to rotate the head, the gear assembly down. Because I need to secure the drill motor to the unit. Right here is an attaching screw, and I'm going to snug that up just a little bit, and that'll pinch the drill motor right into position, securing it so that it doesn't move. Okay, so basically right now what we've got is we've got our drill motor mounted into the gearbox assembly. We've got our feet that we're going to use to secure the saw itself to the work table. And we're pretty much ready to secure now, and then we'll attach a blade. So that'll be our next step. Okay, while you were away answering that phone call, I went ahead and mounted the saw up on the end of the table here. As you can see, the legs come down, gripping on the underside, and I'll take my T-handle here, run it up, and secure it to our table. Just nice and snug. Same thing on the other side. Just make sure it's nice and snug also. Gives you a good platform to work with. It's time to install the blade. If you remember, it used to be righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Well, we got a left-handed nut on this, so you're going to go, if you were facing this, you'd be going counterclockwise. You want to make sure your teeth are also facing counterclockwise if you're facing the machine. Otherwise, you're going to experience extremely short blade life. And we just snug this up. There we go. And we'll take our spanner wrench and snug this up just a little bit. Let me give you a little tip on installing that blade. One of the things that I did was I opened my saw vise all the way up. That gave me greater access through the center of my saw so I could actually reach in. The other thing I did was I raised the cutting level all the way up. That way I was clearing this section in here also. Because we're going to be mounting a piece of tubing in here shortly, you always want to take the saw blade and rotate it down as far as it'll go so you have clearance through here. Same way with your saw vise. Open your vise all the way up. Let's demonstrate to you what the quick turning handle actually does here for you. It's pretty basic. If I'm going to switch from the 4-inch tubing, I'll pop my handle out here, loosen up the jaws, withdraw the tubing. Now if I want to go down to some 1/2-inch tube to cut it, again I'm using this handle. It allows me to spin it faster. One of the things that I'm going to do though is I'm going to pull this, slide it in. I'm not going to use that little handle. I'll take both my hands on the hand wheel here, gripping it and cinching that tubing down in those jaws tight. Because the configuration on those jaws, we aren't going to oblong the tubing. We're going to keep it perfectly round like it was intended to be. Hopefully you can get an idea here what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to show you how what we want is we want the blade to engage into the tubing and break through by about the thickness of the tube. This happens to be a piece of 2-inch tubing with a 65 thousandths wall on it. So as I rotate the saw up, you'll notice that the blade actually cams into the piece of tubing. Now it's breaking through a little taller than I would like it to. So again, this is by feel and experience. About the thickness of the wall, I adjusted it down, and so now I can bring the saw down, let it cam away, and now I can index the tube out to the length of tubing that I want to cut. Okay, we're going to make a cut here on this 2-inch tubing, and to give you an appreciation for how long it takes to cut it, we'll slide it in. Typically we'd have our mark where we want to cut it at. And our cut's that easy. You can also add lube to the blade. It's recommended. There's also different teeth based on the thickness of the tube that you can change also on the saw blade to accommodate different tubes.